So ClickUp is not one of those tools that you can jump into and just get like right away, okay? You need somebody to explain the logic to you through the lens of being a freelancer managing multiple clients, or it can literally take years to put those pieces together. And the reality is most people give up on it before then, and long before they get to experience the Kool-Aid that has people like me starting entire businesses around it. That's how good it is, okay? So I want to take you inside a focus framework so that you get a sense for what you're investing in and why it's the right choice for you right now. So we will start this tour by coming inside of my course platform, which is called Thinkific. And when you log in, it looks like this, and all the courses that you have access to will show up here. And so I'm just going to go right inside of Focus Framework, which is the course that you would be purchasing. And the first thing I want to show you or draw your attention to is this little call out here, which I don't know why it looks a little funky now. But it is a quick link out to the Focus Framework channel of the Reset Room, which is my virtual community. And this is a place that you get access to for 90 days. So that you can ask me questions, because the reality is that the transition, the 4 steps that you go through to implement the focus framework for yourself, they go pretty quickly. Okay. We'll go through each of them quickly, but the reality is the longer transition of putting all of the nuances of your client work and how you manage clients into ClickUp, into your focus framework, takes a bit more time, and you'll probably have questions. So I don't want you to be left to your own devices. And so I have this community available to you. So if you just click on go to community, it will jump you straight into the focus framework community where you can ask your questions and I will respond. Okay. So that is the first thing to know about the course. Coming back into the platform. So as I said, there are 4 different steps, but before you even jump into the steps, there is something that I've created inside of Google Docs, which I'm not entirely all ClickUp Docs. Anything where it's shared, it makes sense to do inside of Google Docs. So before you go, why is it in Google Docs? This is why. So I've created a build guide for you, and it's created in Google Docs so you can create a copy. So it'll show up like that. You'll create a copy of it, make your copy, and you're going to be able to follow along piece by piece. So there's check boxes, and it goes through each phase so that you can follow along in a very tangible way. Okay. I'm very much a progress girly and love to see the momentum. And that's the whole point of Focus Framework, but I want you to have that journey for Focus Framework as well. So I have that there for you. So I recommend you create that and you're following along in it as you're going through each of the steps. So the first step is called Build the Foundation, and it consists of 3 different lessons. So the first thing I want to say to preface the course is that I have designed it in a way to cater specifically to the individual who already has ClickUp. So in most cases, people who come to me have already signed up for ClickUp. They've built a bunch of stuff and it's like kind of turned into a big disaster and they need it to be fixed. So I've created this course through that lens. However, if you don't already have ClickUp in place, if you're starting from scratch, this still applies. I've designed it through the lens of these are the mistakes that you've made, here's how to reverse them. However, it's still incredibly valuable to know what mistakes to avoid making and then build it from scratch. So don't let that deter you if you're brand new to ClickUp. The other thing I want to draw your attention to before I get into the specifics of each of these steps is that there is no video that is longer than 33 minutes. This is the longest video of all of the videos I've included, and all in all, it takes around 2.5 hours to complete the video trainings. So I had a student say in the past that they really loved how quick and actionable all of the courses or all of the videos were because they could fit it in between client calls and it really didn't take like a dedicated amount. Like you didn't have to set aside like 2 weeks of time to be committed to going through all this. It's fast, and I've done that intentionally so that you can just jump in, do a whole bunch, like make changes in your ClickUp step by step, and then be able to actually see the changes happening in real time and really fast. Okay. So, and the other way in which I've designed that or made that possible is how I recorded all of the videos, which actually are follow along, like step by step. Okay. So I'm going to teach you, I'm going to give you the teachings, and then we're actually going to go inside of ClickUp and you're going to follow along with me as I go through the steps. So I don't want you to just like sit there, absorb a bunch of information, then have to go action it yourself, because that's when people tend to fall off. I want you to be following along with me, pausing in between if needed, but I've kind of designed it so that, yeah, pausing along in between if you need it, and then just getting it done. Okay, but following along in the sheet as well to just keep that progress, keep that momentum. So within Build the Foundation, which is step 1, we have 3 lessons called Restructure Your Hierarchy, which is literally the most important lesson of all of this course because it shows you the importance of the hierarchy, but it also shows you the end result, like what focus framework looks like when it's all done and is operating, maximum efficiency. I'll show you that in that lesson as well. So you can buy in to what we're doing here and then start the transition, start restructuring your hierarchy right then and there. Lesson 2 is when we get into task types, which is one of the biggest mistakes that's made in ClickUp, why it's a mistake and how to reverse it. So like I said, if you already have ClickUp, then we're going to be working backwards and making those changes in real time. And then lesson 3 is the last sort of bit of cleanup, which is replacing statuses with custom fields. So again, it's like one of the most made mistakes is task statuses, and I teach you how to replace them with custom fields instead. Okay, so that's sort of the cleanup step. And once you have that all cleaned up, we can move into step 2, which is structuring your work properly. Now, I'm talking very quickly right now because I'm trying to make this fast, but I'm not talking that fast in the courses, I promise. So structuring your work properly is really teaching you about how you're setting yourself up for failure by oversimplifying your work. Everybody does this, especially the most experienced people in the world. They are probably the worst at oversimplifying their work because it comes so easily to them. So I'm coaching you in how that's a mistake, why it's costing you, and how to actually start restructuring your work so that it's valuable, so that you do have control over your day and you know what's going on without feeling like you're like floundering around. You're focused on, a few things at a time, making progress on them, completing them, and then bringing other things into your focus. Okay. So this is probably the meatiest, most important part of the entire course is right here. And this is the part that's going to take the most amount of work from you because you have to be thinking about how you work and what you do and setting up these specific nuances of your own business. Okay, so I'm gonna call that in advance. This is gonna be the most time-consuming part aside from the course content itself. Then we get into, in lesson 5, is your first exposure to our 2 unified views, is how I refer to them in the training. Which are your project management view and your task view. So these become your bread and butter of everything you do in ClickUp. You will use these views a lot of places, but they will become the 2 places that you come for absolutely everything. So this is your first exposure to those, and this is where you learn to create them into templates, okay? A lot of what I do in my courses is I don't want to give you templates because I want you to know how to do these things for yourself. Like, this isn't going to be the only time where you need to create a template. So it's really important that you know how to do it and that you understand why you're doing it. So that is what we do in lesson 5. Once that's completed, we move into step 3, which is how you plan at the client level. So this part is where you start to actually look at all of the things that you're doing for your clients and you bring it into a plan of action based on what they actually pay you as a client, right? How much scope do you allocate to them per month, per week, however you set that up? And the plan that you're putting into action, or that you will put into action, comes together based on what the client pays you, but also what's feasible for you. And you start to build the picture of what you're going to do so that you're not reactive to the client being like, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? You're like, no, I'm working on this right now. This. If you want me to do that, we need to move these things out. And you're able to kind of lead the client a little bit better, but being more rigid about where your time is going so that you can push back. Okay. So there is flexibility into your planning view, but I want you to know how to do that so that that's what creates your main plan, which comes together in step 4, which is zooming out to everything. Because in step 2, when you build these 2 views, it's at the client level. It's where you start to look at our client work level. It's where you start to look at all of the things you need to do across all your clients. But in step 4, it comes together into the big picture that includes absolutely everything that you do in your business, because you're a 1-person team, most likely, and you have a lot of things on your plate that are outside of client work to keep this whole thing going. And so this comes together into those 2 views that you're going to use every single day, all day, every day, and live in. Okay, these things are, I live and die by these 2 views. And it comes together in the final step to put the pieces into place. And that's when the focus framework really comes together. So that is the course in a nutshell. I hope that helps you make the decision if this is the right move for you right now. But if you want to use ClickUp or really tune in or tap into ClickUp's superpowers like really quickly, and skip all the YouTube research and skip trusting that Claude or ChatGPT understands ClickUp enough to lead you in the right direction, I will lead you in the right direction. This course will lead you in the right direction. I created this framework for myself first as a freelancer. I didn't even really know what I was creating. I just needed more control, and it came together into something that radically changed me as a freelancer. And so I knew it was just too good not to share with other freelancers and solopreneurs. So I put it into a course, and I'm really proud of it. And people are getting some incredible results. And I would love for you to also be one of those people to get those results, because ClickUp is just mwah, okay? So I hope to see you inside, and yeah, let's go get organized.